So warm welcome here in our studio in Serekona. This is Star TV News and I am Dado Cham. In the headlines tonight, Safariman Singate Foundation donates bags of rice to 3 orphanages in KMC. KMC launches its food aid program worth millions of dollars meant for the poor and vulnerable people in KMC. Bundung Community Lighting Project present street lights to Bundung 6 Johnson Ward. On the international scene, Rwanda's soldiers in court for alleged abuse during lockdown. Tripoli government retake 3 cities from Haftar's forces. COVID-19 adds to DR Congo's multiple health crises. Those were the headlines and now the news in details. Farimang Singate Foundation, in collaboration with Karmic Angel UK Charity Foundation, donated bags of rice to 3 orphanages in the Gambia. This donation is meant to help the orphans to stay at home in order to avoid being contaminated with the COVID-19 pandemic, and the donation was done on Monday in West Coast region, likewise in Banjul. Modu was there and he now reports.
As the number of cases peaks in the country, demand for basic needs like food commodities will be at a higher demand. These 2 charitable organizations took it upon themselves to support the vulnerable communities. Farimang Jallo revealed that this is not the first time that their organization took part in extending such a gesture to the needy communities.
Farimang Singate have been doing this since this, coronavirus started. And today also we, donate again. We donate, like 14 bags, so we take 7 to Brikama, so we take another 2 to Wulinkama. So now we are in Banjul donating another 3 bags to the church. So I can say this is very good at this time, because as far as government is not taking any measure, so we see that we the foundation we should at least make this challenge to help our to the neediest family, because you cannot just say sit at home without not giving me anything.
Mr. Jallo concluded by thanking those in the diaspora for coming together in supporting the needy communities back home. The assistant fundraising coordinator of the Karmic Angel, James, calls on other institutions to join hands in the fight against the COVID-19.
We need to be supporting one another in the era of difficulties. At this stage of this coronavirus pandemic, where the whole world is in a financial crisis, we need to put hands together to see those that are not that much wealthy, to help them, and then see how best we can go through this crisis together as a family.
So will this be your last gesture to the needy?
No, we are still working. We have another donation coming, and then we are working on a lot of donations that can help the needy. Although we don't pray for this to last long, but as long as it exists, we will always find doors. We will always be knocking at doors to see how best we can support the needy and see how best we can go through this together as a family.
The Farimang Singate country coordinator, Mustafa Fai, stressed that they initiated the push-up challenge, but people are not fulfilling the requirements of this challenge.
The way we organize the challenge and the way the challenge is going now is not, some are abusing our challenge. Because at first we said you do 20 push-ups, you donate a bag of rice. But we can see now people are doing push-ups without donating a bag of rice. We see the last time Lawyer Honorable Dabo, Honorable Mama Kande, they were all doing push-ups. Jaliba Kuyate, we see a lot of people, the social media, everybody is doing push-up, and they are not, doing what they should do to our challenge, because the challenge is 20 push-ups, 1 bag of rice. If you cannot do the push-up, you give your son or your nephew or your friend to do the push-up for you. You donate 2 bags of rice. But as we see, the challenge is more of fun than donation.
The beneficiaries both took time in expressing words of wisdom to the benefactors while describing this gesture as timely. Reporting for Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
Senabu Martin Sonko, CEO of Kanifing Municipal Council, today launches a food aid program worth millions of dollars meant for the poor and vulnerable people within the KMC region. Our reporter Mariama Dem covered the ceremony and she now reports.
Since COVID-19 hits the country, KMC, under the leadership of the Lord Mayor Ahmed Talib Bensouda, have been working relentlessly in fighting the virus by sensitizing people about the virus, providing sanitary items, and also fumigating markets within KMC. And now, the food aid program is targeting 10,000 poor and vulnerable households within KMC. The Director of Services of KMC, Mr. Lamin Sanyang, during the launching, explains that KMC have set a series of activities to fight COVID-19 pandemic, and this includes the food aid program. He also says that KMC deems it necessary to give back to the community as a council, as COVID-19 has affected a lot of people, especially the poor and vulnerable people.
There are a series of economic burden, food burden. There are people that are seriously affected by the lockdown, and then we are trying to see that as a council, it is our obligation to provide services to our residents, within the municipality. That being the case, the General Council and the management of the Carnegie Municipal Council find it necessary to start, mobilizing resources in order to implement the third component, which is food relief. And today we are here witnessing that. This is going to be distributed to the 19 wards that we have within the KMC.
The CEO of KMC, Senabu Martin Sonko, says KMC is the most densely populated municipality in the country, which warrants them to come up with this food aid program to support the vulnerable people.
In the Gambia, the Kanifing municipality is the most densely populated municipality with all classes of people, and any lockdown measures will have some negative impact on some struggling families, thus warranting the intervention we are witnessing today. Today we are gathered here to witness the official launching of the 10,000 bags of 25-kilogram rice to vulnerable families within our municipality. The council, under the dynamic leadership of the Lord Mayor, decided to cut $1 million from our travel budget to support these vulnerable groups in these difficult times.
The Deputy Mayor of KMC, Musa Bah, noted that they are happy to distribute over 10,000 bags of rice as part of their efforts to support the most vulnerable people within KMC.
We are happy to inform you that today we are launching the distribution of 10,000 bags of rice as part of our efforts to provide relief for the poor and the most vulnerable families within the municipality. The council is disturbed with great concern by the conditions of the poor families and daily commercial dwellers, the vast majority of whom live from hand to mouth, and the other sector of the economy, the halt of which resulted in the downscaling of employees. The council understands the frustrations and the hardship that was created by the most undesirable circumstance to have ever hit the country recently. And it is in light of that, accompanied by our great senses of humanity and sympathy, that we are committed to do whatever we can to provide reliefs for the people within the municipality.
The food aid program was funded by KMC and other individuals in the country as a means of giving back to the poor and vulnerable people within the KMC in fighting against COVID-19 pandemic. The bags of rice are expected to be distributed among 10,000 households within KMC. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
The Community Lighting Project on Monday presents the handing over of street lights to the people of Bundung 6 Johnson Ward, which is sponsored by Haji Baninka Sisoho, the proprietor of Star FM Star TV, to enhance security to the ward. Omar Job reports.
The community lighting project under the leadership of Councillor Suleiman Jallo earlier put lights to various places in Bundung, which include the Bundung Cemetery, Bundung Car Park, and the Bundung Police Station. Speaking at the presentation, Alhaji Bubakar Silla, the Secretary and Program Officer of the Ward Development Committee, said the project was initiated by Councillor Jame and it will benefit the people of Bundung on various purposes.
That light we are taken to, the Bundung Cemetery, the Bundung police station and the Bundung garage. It was during the lightning project of Bundung garage that this project was being launched in a very colorful ceremony. After the launching of the ceremony, we started selling the idea to sponsors. And we were honored that, Alaji Baniko Sisoho, a renowned Gambian businessman, was the first person to sponsor us with this, with this project. That is why today we have witnessed, the handing over of the lightning, to the committee.
Okay, what impact do you think this lightning will bring to the community?
This lightning will go a long way in enhancing security, and also it will beautify the place. At night, when the lights are on, it will beautify the place. It will bring security, as I said, and for the cemetery, it will allow people to bury their loved ones at any time of the night, and even even come rain, you can bury your loved one.
Mr. Silla further stated that people of Bundung shall forget about political issues and join hands to work in helping Bundung.
What development committee members is to continue doing the good work that we have been doing, and we put politics aside. As I said, I am the secretary of this ward, but I was the opponent of the sitting councillor. A party, I belong to a different party with him. I belong to a party, and I stood against him during the local government elections. But you see, after the elections, when the results were declared and he was declared the winner, I phoned him to congratulate him first, and declare my preparedness to work with him for the development of Bundung. That is why today, we are working hand in hand for the development, not only Bundung, but for the development of the Gambia. And I would like other wards and other communities to see Bundung as an example.
Suleiman Jammeh, the councillor of Bundung 6 Johnson Ward, praised the effort of the donor for supporting their initiative lightning project, as he is the first Gambian to support since the launching of the lightning project in Bundung.
First of all, I want to thank the donor, Alaji Baniko Siso, for supporting the initiative and also being the first Gambian to support such a neighborhood lightning project. We've been doing lightning project in the public areas, across. But now, since we launched this neighborhood lightning project, so we met him and he was able to, support the initiative, being part of our community. So we want to thank him and, at least encourage others to also emulate the step that he has taken. Because normally, this is a community and we are living here with, different people. So we feel in community development, it involves a collective effort and also participation in the development process of the community. So for that being the case, we are calling on, people, stakeholders to come on board to support such an initiative.
The proprietor of Star TV, Star FM, and the sole sponsor of this project thanked the effort of the councillor and the community of the ward, as they always work in the need of the ward. He further urged businessmen residing in Bundung to support the lightning project, as it will benefit the people of the ward for security purposes. Meanwhile, various speakers at the presentation, which include Lai Sanyang, former CEO of KMC, hailed the effort of the committee, as they are always on duty thanks to them, and urged other philanthropists to emulate Haji Banyugo Siso. For Star TV, I am Omar Job.
And now the news beyond our borders. Rwanda was one of the first countries in sub-Saharan Africa to impose a lockdown. But there are human rights violation concerns, as campaigners in several African countries accuse security forces of using heavy-handed tactics to enforce it. Al Jazeera Catherine Soy reports.
Security forces are making sure people follow lockdown orders in the capital, Kigali. Anyone who doesn't can be arrested and fined. Those with valid reasons, such as visiting a hospital and market runs for food, have their temperatures checked before being allowed to proceed.
There are people who do not understand the problem. They just come here to walk around. We continue to tell them to stay at home. They can infect the whole population here. Those who come to buy food must respect regulations.
Social distancing is critical but difficult to implement. This landlocked country has one of the highest densities of population in Africa. Most of the 12 million people here are poor. At the start of the lockdown, police shot dead 2 people. They said the men attacked a police officer. Soldiers have also been accused by several slum dwellers of human rights abuses, including rape. The Rwandan military says it's investigating and has arrested some soldiers. Security forces in several other countries on the continent, such as Kenya, South Africa and Uganda, have also been accused by human rights groups of using excessive force on civilians while enforcing government restrictions.
The police, law enforcement agents need very clear and unambiguous rules of engagement. Engaging with civilians is different from engaging with other security forces. Now, the second thing is, where it is possible, avoid the use of armed soldiers. Soldiers know only how to fight wars. They do not have the skills to deal with civilians.
Volunteers are distributing food paid for by the government to the most vulnerable families across the country. Hotels and other businesses are shutting down, and thousands of people are likely to lose their jobs.
The problem is that there is no social security for those that we have to send home. So they will have no support, financial support. Already today, 80% of my staff is home.
For now, the government plans to ensure transmission of the disease is limited, poor families are fed, and the lockdown is respected. Rwandans we talked to remain hopeful. They survived genocide in 1994, prevented the Ebola epidemic in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo from crossing the border, and they say this crisis will also come to pass. Catherine Soy, Al Jazeera.
Libya military commander Khalifa Haftar forces have fired rockets at the residence areas in the capital Tripoli. The attack came after the international recognized government recaptured 3 cities from Haftar's forces in the past 24 hours, as Turkish air attacks boosted the governments of National Accounts GNA advance. In April 2019, Haftar launched a military campaign to seize the capital Tripoli, but the GNA's forces slightly stalled the offensive. Al Jazeera Mahmoud Adalwai reports from Tripoli.
Residential areas in the Libyan capital targeted by indiscriminate shelling. The UN-backed government says forces loyal to the warlord Khalifa Haftar are attacking the city in reaction to their defeat in the west of the country. People in the coastal city of Sabratha cheering the liberation of the city by the government forces. Other nearby cities, including Sarman and Jilat, have been also recaptured by the government forces. Haftar's forces, who controlled those cities for the past 3 years, were driven out in 24 hours after heavy fighting. The swift takeover of those cities sees government forces changing their strategy from defensive to offensive mood.
The balance has shifted. Turkish drones and Turkish aerial support and Turkish training has helped the GNA, and now they've reached parity or maybe even supremacy in the air, and they are undercutting the LNA supply lines on all directions.
Sabratha, about 80 kilometers west of Tripoli, is a key city. Whoever controls it can move on many other cities in the west. It also makes gaining control of the international coastal highway easier, a key link between Tripoli and the Tunisian border. Government forces say other anti-Haftar Amazigh forces can now link up with them. The United Nations has been calling on the warring sides to stop fighting and focus on responding to a rising number of COVID-19 infections.
We are concerned about all of the continued fighting from whichever side, including, of course, the latest shelling. But we, as you know, have been asking for the parties to cease fighting. It's very clear that right now there are the first signs of COVID-19 infections in Libya, and we need to make sure that they can set aside their all military offensives and work together in terms of being able to allow for us to deal with the pandemic before that comes out of control. And so that is where our priority lies.
Coronavirus is opening up a new front in Libya, and the fall of these cities to the UN-backed government is another setback to Haftar after he lost the strategic city of Gherian last June.
By eliminating the threat to Tripoli from the western direction, the government forces say they can now focus on repelling Haftar's forces' attacks in southern Tripoli. But with continuing shelling of residential areas, it seems that all calls for de-escalation have gone unheard. Mahmoud Abdul Wahid, Al Jazeera, Tripoli.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is fighting a war against diseases on multiple fronts. The healthcare system is one of the world's poorest countries, which is struggling to treat cholera, Ebola, and now coronavirus. Al Jazeera Mohammed Adu reports.
12 million people live in Kinshasa, capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Last week, the government put the city under lockdown to curb coronavirus outbreak. Bars, restaurants, and churches are closed. Public transport in and out of the capital is also restricted. But people here say the closure of some food and vegetable markets has affected them most.
We haven't been able to access the main market in the city for about a week now. We have no way of restocking our shops. I doubt we'll be able to survive these measures for another week.
In the Gombe district, health workers are cleaning up a government building where several people, including a government minister, tested positive for the virus. They say the lockdown is necessary to stop it spreading.
We can't lock down all of Kinshasa for now for obvious reasons, but we do believe that the current lockdown will help control the pandemic in the city's main epicenter.
Scenes like these are becoming common in Kinshasa. The sellers say these alternative remedies prevent coronavirus infection and can treat the virus. The drinks are made from leaves and roots and are becoming popular with local people. While there is no scientific evidence that these alternative remedies can work, some here swear by their efficacy.
The medicine from this plant is effective against almost every ailment. This is what we prefer to use instead of going to the hospital every time we fall sick. As long as we take it every day, we should be free from the coronavirus.
Apart from COVID-19, the Democratic Republic of Congo is also battling a measles epidemic that has killed more than 5,300 children since early 2019. There are also 31,000 recorded cases of cholera and a second death linked to Ebola after 2 months without new cases. The public health system is already weak here, and with all these diseases, many are asking whether it can cope. Mohammed Adu, Al Jazeera.
And now, before we end the news, a recap of our main headlines. Star Farimang Singati Foundation donates bags of rice to 3 orphanages in KMC. KMC launches its food aid program worth millions of dollars meant for the poor and vulnerable people in KMC. Bundung Community Lighting Project presents street lights to the people of the world. Rwanda soldiers in court for alleged abuse during lockdown. Tripoli government will take 3 cities from Haftar forces. COVID-19 adds the DR Congo's multiple health crises. That's all for this edition of the news. Please enjoy the rest of our programs and join us for tomorrow's news. Thank you.